Hello. Hello. Hello, Rehan. Hello, Adija. Hello, Rehan. Can I please get a quick mic check from your end? I. Okay, thank you.
Um, Hello, Akriti, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you please call in the teams because
Sure.
less than 2 minutes left.
Yeah, I'll just give them a call.
Um, Guys, are you here? Gov team, can you please log into the Google Meet fast?
I think you can just share the timer on Google. That also works. Like YouTube is not that normal.
Just a quick roll call. Is the government team fully here?
Yeah, Gav is here.
Opposition, are you here?
One of the member is here. I'm asking for them to join.
Okay, in the meantime, both of the teams, please write down your speaking order in the chat, like who's going first, second, third, and reply. And yep, waiting for the opposition.
Op is here.
Okay, perfect. Just write down your speaking order in the chat, both of the teams. In the meantime, just a quick introduction. Hello, everyone. This is Raihan. I'll be the chair for this round. He, him pronouns. And yep, can the other judge please introduce themselves?
Hello everyone, this is Adrija. All the best for this round.
Okay, I have got the government speaking order. Just write down who's going as gov reply as well. And also opposition, please write down your speaking order ASAP. Yes. Just a few housekeeping rules. Number one, see always see your screen because that's where the timer is there, so that you don't exceed the time. Second, after you have like after 7 minutes and 15 seconds have passed, I'll stop taking notes. Please be mindful of that. Secondarily, POIs are not mandatory but highly encouraged. In case of there is a tie between two teams in terms of scores, I'll obviously check the POI engagement of the teams to use it as a tiebreaker. So please be careful to give and take POIs. Third of all, please state your POI preference before you start your speech, whether you want it via voice or whether you want it via chat, so or via reaction or turning the video on for your own convenience sake. And yeah, Finally, please be respectful to each other, and be careful of what you say, because this is a somewhat a sensitive type of motion. So please be careful to not say something that might incur the equity violation. And yep, with that being said, I would like to invite the Prime Minister to start the case. Here, here. Prime Minister, if you're talking, you're muted. Please start by unmuting yourself. Hello, Prime Minister, you're taking up a bit of more time. Please start.
Sorry, I lost my connection.
Okay, no worries.
I'll be starting my speech in three, two, one.
You're muted. Chinmay, if you're speaking, you got muted. Akriti, please restart the video from start. Yep. Um, okay, Chinmay, you're muted. Please start.
Hello,
Yep, I can hear you.
am I audible?
Yes, you are. You're muted. Like you're getting muted and unmuted frequently. Can you please check your connection and other stuff?
Hello, am I
Yeah, I can
audible?
hear you. Yes, you are.
Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. I'll be starting my speech now. This house believes that the feminist movement. Okay, this house believes that the feminist movement should oppose the commercialization of reproduction. Here, what commercialization means is that it's the process of running or managing something mainly for the financial gain. And why we as feminists, like we are trying to oppose this, is because and why we as the feminist movement, like we are trying to oppose this because the feminist like these people, we have been trying to bring in the equality between men and women over the past years. And because like women, they're mainly they're treated as childbirthing machines, where their like only purpose is to give birth to children, and like it's like their lifetime goal or something. And if we commercialize this process of if we commercialize the process of reproduction, that it would mean that we would still be contributing to this mindset where like women are only supposed, like they're mainly used for giving birth or something. So that is why it would like it would still encourage, like it would increase the inequality that is present between men and women, as it would be like it would be like objectification of women. That is the main reason why we as the government would oppose to the commercialization of the commercialization of the reproduction process. Here we have, like we would like to note that we are only opposing the commercialization of reproduction and not the entire process. Like it shouldn't exist at all. Only the commercialization we are opposing it. And the main reason for like we are opposing the commercialization, because commercialization of reproduction is because because of the misuse misuse of that is occurring. More than it is this process is used legally, it is being managed illegally. It might help process of sale of over or commercial or surrogacy. It was mainly bought out to help infertile couples or people, so that they'll be able to have their own kids and all. If we commercialize this process, then it would be more generalized, so that all the people they'll be going through this process, and it wouldn't actually serve the actual reason why it was bought up, to help the people who are going to actually have children of their own. And the main reason why we are opposing this is because it would be prying on poor people. Women, they might since poor people, they're often in need of money, they would just accept this process because of the money they're offering, without knowing what are its after effects or the side effects they might be suffering from. It might be like the bodily changes that they might get, or it also contains certain death risks and hormonal changes in them. Or it might be it's only after giving a birth to one child, they might not be able to give birth to any other children, which might also mean that in future they won't be able to have their own kids, because they had given birth to someone else in the past. And so not knowing all of these side effects, they would be choosing to, and they would be opting for this, and then they would be suffering the after effect or the damages. And also it would main would be the exploitation of women that would occur during this process, where they're being injected certain hormones to release 8 to 16 ovas instead of one. The capacity of a woman is to release one ova per every month. And if we are able to inject estrogens or any other hormones, then it would be speeding up the process of these multi or producing multiple ovas, which is why which would also affect the woman badly. And also because of this process, minor girls are also exploited, where they're being bought into the businesses, and they're again injected with the hormones, which would speed up the process of menarche. And it would they would be used, they will be forcefully used to extract these ovas from them. Well, if we commercialize this process, then it would be mainly for their financial gain, and not for, actually for helping those infertile couples. So many of these people, or many girls, they would be kept in a single chamber, or chambers where there is no proper hygiene and all, and where they're not being given proper care of, they should be given when during this process. They're only they're not given proper care of, and they're mainly being exploited over here. So it would lead to more of an illegal business. Also the emotional attachment, or which comes to these people, when a person is keeping bearing a child for 9 months, it might not they might initially they might not think much of it, but because 9 months is a lot of time, they would be taking care of themselves and all. It would mean that they'll be having some kind of emotional attachment to the children while they're giving birth. Also there are many other potential risks that could occur during this process, in surrogacy, certain complications that might occur, due to which the mother might not survive the childbirth, and only the child could survive. Or it might be the child doesn't survive and only the mother could survive, in which case even if it might not actually be the mother's fault, and it could be it could have been some kind of phenomena, the mother would be blamed for the surrogate mother, they would be blamed for all these process or the death of the child. Or in worst cases, both of these might not survive, and all the efforts, it would just be a wastage. And also it would mainly all these process, women are more prone to these damages than men, because a majority, they are involved in this majorly, it might be during bearing the child for 9 months, or giving birth to them, or because during those 9 months they'll be taking special care of, it might be them, and they'll be having a lot of attachment between these between the two of them. And also the main because of these, the existence of black market, it might lead to the existence of black markets, where fake doctors might come up, and it might give fake hope or something. And also it might also lead to a global inequality, where people start developing countries, people from who are coming from developing countries, developed countries might come to developing countries, and exploit the people in here, because of the myths that are present, these people, they might be more healthy, or they're more they're more easy to convince, because convince, since they're in developing country rather than a developed country. So the main reason So summarizing my case, it would be like the commercialization, since we are mainly running it or managing it something with a financial gain. Here the main purpose would be like the financial game and not like the like sticking to the actual process why we need to do it, like helping those infertile couples and all. So it would be like we are trying on poor people, and it would also lead to exploitation of women and the exploitation of minor girls as well. And it since it more than it takes more on an like illegal route rather than a legal route. And also it wouldn't align with the actual movement, like feminism movement, where like these feminists are trying to bring equality between men and women. And this process, like it would lead to more of an objectification of women rather than this, because like in originally also women have been viewed more often as like childbirthing machine rather than this thing. So that's it. I'll be stopping.
I thank the speaker for the fine speech. To start the opposition case, I would like to invite the leader of opposition. Here.
Just let me know if I'm clearly audible.
Yes, you are.
I will take 20 seconds. Okay, so I am Sujal. I will be going as leader of opposition, preferred pronouns are he, him. Pure preference after 5 minutes and 30 seconds. You can just raise your hands and I will take your POI. I'll be starting my speech in a reverse count of 3, 2, and 1. There have been lots of ideas from the side of government in this debate, but we feel none of them stand just because they don't have any math, but also they don't make any sense. Particularly, let's start from the very beginning. They talk about child giving birth machine and all those things. If you are restricting this thing, if you believe that you are not doing commercialization, what are you restricting? What are you actually arguing for? Are you actually arguing for, you know what, you would not be doing that? What will this lead to? This will lead to women not giving birth, and that is actually restricting this child giving, child giving machine kind of narrative. Practically, that's not actually counting that narrative. You are just restricting those women who can't have kids to not have kids. That those women who can't have kids will not have kids will not change the narrative of child as women as child giving machines. Practically, you are just giving up those women to have any kids. You're just making them suffer. All other women who can have kids will still be seen as the same way. You're not solving that problem at any point. But then we believe that the point that it will be very much generalized and everyone will start opting into it doesn't make any sense. Just because these things are for the people who can't have kids. What does it mean? It means someone who has capability to have kids will have the kids the same way, the natural way. Why will he go into surrogacy? Why will he spend money on surrogacy because of commercialization? Just because that doesn't make any sense. Practically, they would opt out natural way rather than the surrogatory way. So the point of generalize and everyone will start opting to this doesn't make any sense to me. There is no incentive for that. But then they talk about money will be involved. We believe that money will be involved. That is very crucial and that is very beneficial for the most vulnerable stakeholders, which are going to be in this debate, which are we going to elaborate later, specifically poor women and all those women. But then we believe that exploitation, over exploitation of women in all these industries, we believe that's going to happen when commercialization doesn't exist. I will explain that later. But before that, let me just explain you that what they explain that this will lead to women's death and all those things. Practically, women are given lots of birth, and all these extreme cases that they try to run on that women can die exist in both cases of paradigm. Women can die giving birth also, but we believe that hospitals are comparatively much better in that paradigm, but also they are giving lots of birth, lots of lives, which are comparatively super higher. If you want to debate on that, we are willing that debate. Now then, how is commercialization saving these women from exploitation? How does commercialization look like? Commercialization look like selling over your ovaries, or maybe being paid for surrogacy and all those things. Which looks like if you are doing all these activities, you are having economic incentive just because of commercialization. Why is commercialization is the only way with which you can have surrogacy and all these things with which you can have children when you are not biologically capable of having children? Just because commercialization is giving other people's incentive to opt into it, which looks like if I'm not getting money, why will I give my OVA? There's no incentive of it. If I'm not getting any money, why will I be carry anyone else's child for 9 months? That's a big deal. That's a big time. That takes a lots of things and lots of resources that restricts you on a larger scale. If I'm having no incentive, why will I opt into that? By so far that reality exists, commercialization is the only way which can make people actually opt into all those ideas which we believe that is very crucial. Just because if people will opt into it, they will donate and all those things will be happening. If people don't opt into it, donation will not be happening. What will that lead to? That will lead to people, buyers, not having any things to buy, just because no one wants to actually share those things, just because they are not getting any incentive. That's now I prove that why commercialization is the only way. But we believe that commercialization is actually saving these women from all these exploitation on larger scale. How? If commercialization we see, this is a legal thing. This is a thing that happens in front of law, and there are definitely lots of legal regulations which are very strict in nature that exist on commercialization. If commercialization doesn't exist, we believe people are still very much desperate to have kids. Just because they can't have kids, they want to have that catharsis to have kids. What will they do if commercialization doesn't exist? If there is no legal framework to have kids, they will choose the illegal way. They will choose the black market that the government was talking about. They will choose all those things to have children. That can lead to lots of side effects. Practically, in a legal form of way, everything is checked by government. Likelihood of side effects being happening is comparatively super less, just because that can't practically happen, because everything is in check, because everything is so crucial. But in their case, when commercialization doesn't exist, people will be opting out to other ways to have children because they're so desperate. That can lead to actually side effects because no one is checking into that. You can have lots of medicine which are not even prescribed to you just for the sake of having kids. That can be disastrous. All those scenarios can be super much disastrous. We believe all those examples that they give, that 15, 16 OVAs will not be happening in our case pattern just because we have laws, but in their case pattern that will be happening just because there is no law, there is no one to check out all those things. But then, who are we taking this debate? I have framed government out of this debate. Now I will elaborate a little bit on my point. Practically, we are creating the most needy women who wants to have children, but they practically can't have children just because these things are not common. We believe that this taboo against that these things are not good exists in the society. Practically, to actually allow women to have children, we believe that first of all, first need is surrogacy should exist, and the selling overs should exist. That can only exist when commercialization is there. But then also breaking of all those taboos which are restricting them on mental level to actually do and opt into the activities should also be broken down. That can also only exist when commercialization exists. What does this mean? This means that when you're commercializing anything, you're normalizing that thing in the society, which looks like if that thing will exist and people will pay it out for that thing, people will be opting out for that thing. That means that activity will exist in society. What does this leads to? This leads to commercially breaking the taboo that these things are wrong. If those things will not exist, people will still believe that these things are wrong. Practically, if these things are not seen as society, people can practically opt out. Women who can't have children can practically opt out, thinking that this thing is wrong. If she's not having that second thought that this thing is wrong, she can opt into it. Taboo is being broken in Arkish pattern. But practically, that woman who can't have children can practically have children in Arkish pattern just because commercialization is the only way. Surrogacy can exist. Commercialization is the only way. All these way, all these duration of OAS can exist. She can have a children, which is a very big point on Arkish pattern. That's the only possible in commercialization point. But also, who are single parents are also very crucial. Who are LGBTQ are also very crucial. Those people cannot biologically have children, but in Arkish pattern, those people will have children just because these donation of things are practically happening in Arkish pattern. Those people who want to be parent but can't be parent just because of their biological identity can be parent in Arkish pattern, giving them lots of catharsis. But also let's talk about economically weak women. Money point. We believe that who opt for selling your ovas or giving out those things, who need money. Practically not normal women opt into this just because they have lots of other ways to earn money. But women who don't have any other way of earning money, who don't have any resources, opt into these activities. These women are very much vulnerable. These women don't have lots of ways to earn money. Practically, if they get these legal way to earn money, they are practically not only economically safer, they economically benefited, but also they're having some security with themselves. If they're not, this way of earning money doesn't exist, they can maybe practically trigger warning, get into prostitution, or can be exploited by criminals in all those scenarios. In our case of paradigm, can be exploited in black markets and all those scenarios. But in our case of paradigm, she is going to be following a legal framework which is going to take care of her, but also she will be getting economic benefited, which is very crucial for her. But also we believe that this thing is very crucial in fulfilling the woman's need. For example, a woman who may face the backlash just because she can't have children will actually have children in our paradigm. Will that backlash will not exist? She will not be treated as the way that she was treated in their case paradigm. Proud to oppose.
I thank the speaker for that fine speech. To continue the government case, I would like to invite the Deputy Prime Minister. Here, here.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, just give me a second. By the way, this is Yukta, and I don't have any preferred gender pronouns. And yeah, I'll be the DPM for the debate. Yeah. So, starting my speech in three, two, one. So basically, panel, there is a lot of points that the op brings in, and I will tell you how exactly it aligns with our points and how they are giving out points for us instead. So first of all, when we are talking about something like surrogacy, the commercialization of reproduction, as our PM has already explained, it is something which is gain driven, profit driven, and money driven in the market, right? So what is happening over here? We are not against selling of IVF or selling of OVA. Basically, we are not against the surrogacy or people letting OVA taking or something like that, or sperms. What we are against is the commercialization of this reproduction. So what are the couple of things that would happen? First is abusing women for this, because there is a lot of vulnerable classes. It can be globally also affected, because developed countries can come up and abuse the developing countries, and this can go on. So this can be one of the major issues, and also how the women can be abused. This has already been explained very well by our PM. And also there is an emotional aspect that's come with the motherhood, or the relationship between a mother and the child, right? So whenever a woman is going on through surrogacy, she is giving a birth to any child. It is like 9 months she is bearing that children, nourishing that. That doesn't only mean that she is having some another human body inside her. It means a lot more of an emotional aspect to that. When you, after these 9 months, when you take away this same child that she has been carrying and nourishing for the whole time, what does it mean? It gives a lot of mental trauma and mental torture to that woman, because now the child is being taken away from her, whom she has been loving and caring so much. So there is a lot of other aspects, and the mental traumas and the mental health effects that will be going on through. So then there is an also other physical aspects of this, that any for any women, surrogacy and all of these things might lead to miscarriages, or even when you are taking ovas, you are taking not one or two, you are taking like 16s and 32 number of ovas, which will lead to a lot of physically issues for these women, because you are taking a lot many of those. And not just this, with pregnancy or any of this, there comes a postpartum pain, there is body aches, there can be any of the issues like hemorrhoids, anemia, toxinemia. There, like, the list just goes on, right? That is why there is a whole thing which exists as a postpartum pain or postpartum depression, and which a lot of women go on through. So when you are when the op comes up and says that women don't have other ways of earning, don't they have education, they have a lot of other jobs that they can go on through, that they can do. But when you commercialize these things, then you commercialize reproduction, they don't know the aspects of the physical and the mental trauma that they might get in the future. And then the op comes up and says that these people are just vulnerable, so they just have to choose this thing. But what happens after choosing this thing? They don't have the proper information and the guided thing in front of them. So for the money, as you are just commercializing these things, women can come up and choose for these things, but they don't know the negative aspects of the disadvantages that also comes with these things. That is where the whole point, when the op comes up and says that it will be beneficial for women, goes down. And then what we have been talking about, the black markets, how there can be fake doctors, how they can be without any enough education, these women can be mistreated or something like that. This can happen only when there is a commercialization. Now people are money driven, people have money in their mind. Basically the surrogacy, or the whole the concept of IVF came into existence because there was a problem with the fertility, right? So what happened was, even people choosing for surrogacy, or usually people used to take OAs from other people and inject it to the women or the men, whoever is infertile, and they were going on through the pregnancy and stuff like that. Or the surrogacy, the surrogate was most likely, usually used to be somebody they knew, someone from their family, somebody. It was not something money driven. most of the times. So when you commercialize it, more and more people come to the market, more and more markets and industries start over here, more and more black markets get benefit of that. So whenever the op comes up and says that, oh, the black market will exist or something like that, see, the black market already exists over here, and you are leading by commercializing reproduction, you are leading to more and more of the crime rates, or the any of the misuse that it would lead to. One more of the aspect that we have to go on through is the gender stereotypes, as the PMS talked about. Some of the things are like, in any of these gender stereotypes, one of the thing is, it doesn't just affect the women who is going on through all of these things physically and mentally, it will also affect the families of that women. What about her life, because she also has a life? What about her marriage in the future? Because we have the this just weakens the culture and the social family structures, and the whole aspect of that. And the like the op comes up and says that there are a lot of women who are going on through this, they can't have children, so they have mental issues. That doesn't mean you go up and give the mental issues to somebody else. Why don't you prefer adoption instead? Adoption, like, there are a lot of kids who want houses, they want the parents, they are seeking for love. Why don't you go and like take adoption and raise some children if you really want to do that? And the other aspect that they come up and say is, women still have the still have this thing of still are dying due to while giving birth and all. POI. Okay, no POI.
Don't you
Women are
believe
still
that?
dying.
Yeah, don't you
Women are
believe
still
that?
dying. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, don't you believe that when black markets already exist by introducing a
Time's up,
legal
time's up.
way?
Okay, women still are dying due to childbirth. See, women, if I am giving birth to a child and if I am dying like while I'm giving birth to my child, then it is the child was my responsibility and I was responsible for the whole thing. When you're pushing some other women into this is not her child. You're pushing somebody else with a half knowledge into a whole of these things just because you're paying the money for it. And if she dies in this whole process, how are you taking responsibility for a whole like a woman's life? It is not at all fair when the opposition comes up and says it. And the opposition comes up and says that the LGBTQ people or the same sex gender couples can have a benefit too. We agree. We never said we are against the like any of the IVF or any of these technology. We are just saying they shouldn't be commercialized. They can still go on and seek help from somebody they know. They don't have to pay, and this doesn't have to be commercialized for them to get benefit. Anyway, they can talk to somebody from their friends or relatives, they can still help it through that. This doesn't have to be commercialized, because there comes a lot of physical, mental, emotional aspects of this, and there is lot of inequality that is spread. There is lot of what bodily challenges and the objectification of women's body, and it is basically spreading inequality in the society. Thank you.
I thank the speaker for that fine speech. To continue the opposition case, I would like to invite the DLO. Here.
Yeah, just need 30 seconds. Hi, am I audible clearly? Someone can confirm it.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Priyansu, prefer gender pronoun say him, going as DLO. For POI, I'll ask, don't verbalize it. Starting my speech in self count of 3, 2, 1. Firstly, clarification. It is already mentioned in the info slide that, oh, commercialization means selling of ova and surrogacy too. So you just can't debate on things that suits you, right? You just can't debate on surrogacy. You have to bring the point of selling of ovas too. Before that, let's get into the government's case, right? The harm that they talk about, including exploitation of minors, black market, physical aspect, will I will eradicate all these things with a simple analogy, right? Firstly, panel, you need to understand that before commercialization, you have to understand that these things do exist, right? Means that every point of the time, these things do exist, but in an illegal way or in a hidden way. Why? Because of the societal same associated with those things, right? And because of all that reason, we believe that these things is going to undermine the health of the woman at far at a higher level, right? So what will commercialization lead to? We believe that when you do commercialize these things, it will lead to the normalization of the process itself, right? It means that every point of the time, now you when you are going to commercialize it, you are going to create a safer environment for the woman to opt into it. So we believe that it's far better to commercialize these things, right? So what will be the impact of these commercialization? Firstly, panel, you need to understand that the woman who wants to sell this can easily do it. Why? Because there will be no societal pressure or no societal shame associated with those things, and these women can eventually opt into, right? And secondly, panel, the women who want to buy those things, or women who want to opt
Right.
into surrogacy can do it easily. You can't verbalize it. I've already told you, don't heckle. Okay. Secondly, the panel who wants to do it, right, can now easily do it. Why? Because when you commercialize it, this thing will be easily available, right? This thing will be readily available, and because of all that reason, we believe that the board party will be beneficial in our set of paradigm as compared to government set of paradigm. Panel, you need to understand that when you commercialize some things, these things come under the law, or there will be a transaction history, or there will be agreement between these people, right? So their whole point that exploitation will occur, black market will occur, does not stand at all, right? So their whole case is just based on assumptions, right? And we believe that the harm that they talk about that exists in our set of paradigm, I already proved to you that the harm they talk about exists in their set of paradigm itself, right? Before going at POI.
Yeah.
Three.
So now you come up and say that these things are happening illegally. So doesn't it still provide a chance for the police and the government to still barge in and have this say that these things are not illegal, so you have to stop, rather than when you commercialize it
Yeah,
and
got
be
it,
there
got
very
it.
socially acceptable
Yeah,
thing. You're making
but
it very socially acceptable, so
yeah,
making it
got
more
it, got
illegal.
it, got it, please. Yeah, got it. Okay. But the problem is that when you commercialize these things, you have certain kind of agreement. You can show the proof to the government that, oh, I have agreed with him on certain condition, and these conditions are not fulfilled. And when these things exist, that will be more beneficial for the victim to claim to the police. But when these things exist illegally, the first and the foremost thing is that the question will be on the victim itself, that why you opt into these things when you see these things are illegal, right? uh, Now panel comes to the things that we give you. We tell you that what feminist movement want. We believe that feminists want gender equality, but the problem is that these equalities are not able to achieve till that. Why? Because of the dependency of these women on men, right? But the thing is that when you commercialize these reproduction process, eventually what going to happen is that the women who are in need will eventually going to get this financial freedom. And why these financial freedom is important at every point of the time? Firstly, what these financial freedom will do is that they will decrease the dependency of these women on men, right? Secondly, panel, there will be more clarity and visibility in terms of their financial security, and there will be more chances that, oh, now these women can bring up or can bought their child in a more better way, or a single parent can also opt into these things, and eventually their future will be more secure in our setup paradigm. And thirdly, panel, it will give more opportunity to take decision decision or to make choices, right? Because most of the time women are not able to make their own choices or the choices that are going to benefit because of the economic constraint, right? And we believe that when these economic constraint will remove, eventually women will be able to make more choices in a better way. And thirdly panel, you need to understand that financial freedom will give women a greater say in family matters. It looks like, oh, if something happens in a family, now the say of women will be also heard, right? And fourthly panel, these things eventually going to break the stereotype that exists in the society. These stereotypes looks like, oh, associating women with a certain gender roles, and because of that we believe that it's more going to harmful when associate these women to the gender roles. But what will happen when you give them the financial freedom? When you give them financial freedom, they will opt into more opportunity that exists in front of them, right? And it means that every point of the time, women that we are talking about is far better in our set of paradigm. The feminist movement that are our stakeholders are far better in our set of paradigm as compared to the government set of paradigm. Panel, you need to understand that in society, needy women do exist. Means that every point of the time, there are certain women who are not able to fertilize, and they have to opt into those things, right? And these things are important. And how these things going to change when you commercialize these things? When you commercialize these things will eventually get into the mainstream, and eventually these things will be more readily available. And since these things are more readily available, the needy woman can opt into it, right? And secondary panel, when these things come into mainstream, eventually the healthy way of transaction will exist. Means that every point of the time, the health concern of both the party will be more focused when you commercialize things, when you involve money in it, right? Rather than when you do it for free or do it for just for the sake of doing some kind of moral activities, right? So we believe that it's far better in our set of paradigm to commercialize these things as compared to doing these things in different way. And so now come to what we tell you that, oh, firstly, how these financial freedom are important. Secondly, we talk about the needs of the woman that exist in every set of paradigm. And thirdly, we talk about the stakeholders that do exist, the stakeholders of our debate. And we tell you that how these stakeholders are far better in our set of paradigm as compared to their set of paradigm. And thirdly, we tell you that, oh, the harm that they talk about exists in their set of paradigm itself. With that, proud to oppose.
I thank the speaker for that fine speech. To sum up the government case, I'd like to invite the Gov Whip. Here. Gov Whip, please start your speech.
Yeah, just give me 2 seconds. So, yeah, I'll start in three, two, one. So, yeah, the panel here, the government is trying to convey that, like, government is not completely opposing the surrogacy or whatever. Like, it's not opposing any of this kind of thing, but it is mainly opposing the commercialization of the entire thing, like how the people are commercializing this. As our PM already mentioned about what's the meaning of commercialization, it is the way of making profit. Okay, so here you can't bring the profit in the field of whatever the reproduction or what, because when you bring the profit kind of concept into this, definitely there would be a market being existing in this kind of state. So the people would definitely try to make more money in whatever the form is, whether it might be a illegal form or whatever. So we as a government would definitely try to bring a stop for this entire thing. So yeah, the opponent comes and says that, like, if the commercialization are being done, people would be opting to have a child, right? Okay, this is not the legal form. Like, it is very difficult for anybody logically in order to stop the illegal way of trying to make money in a case of surrogacy, because until it is being noticed, it is very difficult for any government in order to notice and stop that. So we are trying to stop the entire thing. And the second point here is that the opponent tries to make, like, regarding the POI which was given by our government, how this is the illegal way where which shouldn't, it couldn't be stopped by any government or police, right? And for this, the opponent comes and says regarding agreements, kind of thing. But majority of people would not be aware of what they are signing into, right? They would put themselves into risk. So we would try to stop entire thing. And the opponent also tries and makes this point saying that they would, people would get, like, women would get the financial freedom from this, right? But you can't just expect women to get completely be financially free from having just a single surrogacy. Like, she might get paid for 5 lakhs or something, right? She might get a maximum of 5 lakhs. So this is not a big amount which she could stabilize her entire thing. And she might be underpaid or whatever. These are the points which have to be considered. And yeah, we had very good points saying that the developed countries might use this for their need, right? So for this, we didn't get any rebuttal from the opposition saying or opposing this kind of this topic, right? That is why government takes over the entire case, and there are many more points which the opponent didn't even touch over. And adoption, yeah, there was a very good point brought by our government saying there are very other chances for the people in order to get a child. It might be an adoption, which is a very good way in order to get child. It is not that you should have your child, right? If you can't have a child, you can adopt a child so that you can fulfill the needs of a child. So this is a good point which we as a government had. And yeah, there was other point where the opponent completely neglected, that was the minor girls are being bought into this, like that these minor girls are being used in such a way that they are being made profit out of it. Like, minor girls doesn't even know. There was a thing that where women is able to produce a 1 ovum per month, but in that instead of that, people are injecting hormones into the women's, where they would be providing about 8 to 16 overs per month. So this is very problematic in case of issues of health. Like, they might be affected with many kinds of hormonal imbalance or something. So another main thing which we as a government had was the mental health issue, for which a woman, when she had some baby, and she kind of lose after 9 months, like, she got to give back to their children. So she might get under into a mental stress or a mental pressure which could not be solved by any kind of money which the people give in order to fulfill their child desire. So another main point which the panel has to focus is the death issues, like the death risk which the people might face here. So what happens here is uh, people, when they have been injected with the unusual hormones without any prescription, they might, you know, get under into the risk of death also. And there are also external pressures, like there she might be her family might be affected from this surrogacy, or she might not get married because of having surrogacy or because of having a baby. So this might definitely uh, create a bad opinion on a women directly or indirectly, which we couldn't expect from the society. Uh, so yeah, the weakest culture and the social family's strength would definitely decrease from having a surrogacy or commercializing this surrogacy. Basically, if I have to summarize the whole case, we had brought this important point called adoption. Like people can opt this adoption, and you can get a baby, and also the death risk which a person might face by opting this surrogacy means of income or whatever the offset. So yeah, this is not the only way to make money for a person, and he or she couldn't fulfill her needs entirely by just opting for surrogacy, where she would risk her entire life into it. And there would also be a fake doctor existing from this kind of situation. And yeah, that's it. I would try to end my speech. Thank you.
I thank the speaker for that fine speech. To sum up the op case, I will let the oppositor here.
Am I audible?
Oppositor.
Can someone confirm if I'm
Yes,
audible?
you are.
All right, cool. I'll just take 20 seconds. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Soumya Parida. My preferred gender pronouns are she, her. I'll be going in as the op whip. POIs after the 4.5 to 5th minute. Do not verbalize. Raise your hands. Right? I'll take it. And yeah, I'll be beginning my speech on a self count of 3, 2, and 1. All right, panel, let me first clear this mess out for you. Right. Now, first and the foremost thing, this debate was way diverted into a completely different track in which the side proposition argues for whether surrogacy is right or not, right? While the debate has a completely different burden to be fulfilled, it speaks whether the commercialization of these methods like surrogacy and the sale of ova is benefiting the feminist movement as a whole, or is it not, right? Our LO had come forward and very well characterized on how the desperate mothers and needy mothers will still exist in the society. This means that definitely this kind of trade will still occur no matter what in both sides of the paradigm. Now, the question is whether the commercialization, which means normalizing it on a very large scale and on a very social platform, by any means, is going to benefit the society, is going to benefit the feminists as a whole or not, right? That's the first thing. Second, and the second most important thing, the side proposition completely focuses on poking holes on our case and by saying that, okay, you know what, by commercializing this is really bad, this is exploiting and all of those things. They kept doing that throughout their speeches. However, they do not prove or tell us how exactly opposing this is going to benefit their side of the paradigm, right? Which, so as to say, they mostly or they entirely focused on only the harms on our side, but do not come forward and do not mechanize it well to say how they are benefiting their stakeholders on their side by doing so. Now, third most important point about adoption, right? Panel, two things. First thing, adoption is a symmetrical point. It will exist on both sides of the house. We are not restricting anyone from adoption or anything. Second, and the most relevant one, adoption is a very off-topic case. The debate is not is not about the methods women should do to have children. This debate is completely different. It's about the commercialization of these methods which have been tabled in the society or which are still a question mark, and how are they benefiting them, right? Now, yeah, after addressing these three main concerns from my end, I will move on to a clash analysis, and I'll be rebutting them and weighing our arguments side by side, right? So I think the major clash in this debate boils down to exploitation, right? So the side proposition, they very well mechanized it. They spoke about how this can lead to a lot of exploitation and a lot of illegal businesses, black markets, fake doctors, minor girls. I completely understand. In fact, side opposition even acknowledges that. But however, panel, we raise a very important question. we question that first and the foremost thing, why does this illegal market even arise in the first place? Does commercialization or not have any say in this? And then we move on to prove how commercialization can combat the issues which are faced by the exploitation that is existing on their world, right? Now, first and the foremost thing, we need to understand why this exploitation is even existing. It is existing because of the societal norms and the taboos which are surrounding these. It is existing because people are not very well aware of it. All these points have been iterated by my DLO and the LO, right? Now, we have also spoken about how by doing so we can advocate for a safer environment for these women to opt into all these choices. We speak about how we can advocate for consent measures, for regulation, for laws, how we can benefit both our stakeholders, and at the same time this leads to a lot of immediate impacts, right? It creates a very safe environment for not only carrying out these practices, but secondly to also make sure that the laws on this are taken seriously and they're brought to the spotlight. When some issue is not even brought on the spotlight in the society, it's just suppressed and it's being seen as something very wrong, then it is obvious illegal factors are going to come in. But then, however, by doing so we can eradicate that to a very to a great extent, right? And again, so I feel like the exploitation clash was very well rebutted. It was very well mechanized by my DLO, right? So we clearly take the exploitation clash, wherein we say that yes, on a long term, our society is way more stable, and it will way more benefit the feminist movement as a whole, and it simply creates a safer environment for not only our the women involved in our society, but also for the laws to be implemented. And as a result, this will also encourage more people to have more awareness and research more about these kind of issues. Now, the second clash is about ethical clashes. They come up and they say that there'll be a lot of objectification, and women will be seen as a machine. Now, first and the foremost thing, we plan to combat this kind of objectification with empowerment. We celebrate the femininity. We empower women and tell them that they are capable of this and they have the right to do this. Panel, understand that we have been angling towards choice feminism throughout our entire debate. We speak about how by providing a choice, by providing an autonomy to these women, we can establish a much safer society for these women and the other people as a whole, right? And so that was a very important thing brought up. Secondly, they keep on talking about how a lot of depression and post-delivery trauma takes place and all of those things, right? First and the foremost thing, they're only focusing on the negatives of adopting these measures, right? Secondly, they're assuming a lot of things. They're assuming that this is something that the woman doesn't want. This is something that is very wrong. But however, we are catering to all the types of society. For people who think it is wrong and they are being forced to, we are trying to make a safer environment in terms of law. And the most important burden on our side, we want to make a safe space wherein this commercialization is bringing rise to a newfound market, right? It's giving hope to a new market in the society. Second, so again, we clearly take off the ethical clash, in which my DL had clearly elaborated on how we have a safer environment to opt, in which we have empowerment and all those things. Third clash will be about the financial and economic burden. Most important clash, the side proposition doesn't really engage with it, and they keep on reiterating the exploitation ways, and they speak about how women don't have other ways, and they claim that we are advocating for the fact that women don't have other ways. No, we clearly come to you and say that yes, first and the foremost thing, they have more autonomy. They cannot play the victim card. They'll have an environment to protect them. They'll have some say in the family. They'll have financial independence. They can fight for their rights. They can tackle patriarchy and all these things, and we clearly take the financial clash, right? Finally, the social stereotype clash, in which they say that in their side of the house, the social stereotypes remain as it is, while on our side there's a newfound market, and we are reducing it, right? The best case and the worst case. Our worst case is, okay, there's going to be a little, initially there's going to be a lot of objectification and all that, but I think it's a fair trade-off for a much safer and a better society, because it's a much more long-term impact. While the best case on their side is, what, people are going to just the status quo, right? And we clearly believe that our worst case is still way, way better than their best case. And with that, we would like to end this debate. Proud to oppose. Thank you.
I thank the speaker for that fine speech. With this, we'll come to a conclusion of this constructive part of this debate. Before we start, I would like to need 2 minutes to get new paper and pen because I ran out of it just now. So, opposition reply speaker, please be ready whenever you are. When I say that start your speech, you can start. Just give me 2 minutes.
Yeah, he has told us to wait.
Yep. Opposition reply, please start.
Yeah, there's a little change. I am Sujal, and I will be going as reply. And initially we give name of Priyanshu, so there's a change there.
No worries. Please start now.
Okay, so I'll be starting my reply speech in a reverse count of three, two, and one. Practically, I don't know what government side has stance in this debate. Why I'm saying this? Practically, I don't know whether they're supporting surrogacy, whether they're okaying with it, or they're actually against it. Why? Just because they had arguments like this. They at moments said that you know what, this surrogacy and all these things can actually lead to health problems. Okay, I thought you're against surrogacy, but then you come and say that surrogacy we are not against it. It should be happening, and it should be rather happening with your family members. If you are supporting that, then all health consequences which you are giving in your best case also exist. How you are opposing it and supporting it at the same point doesn't make any sense to me. But also you talk about mental health of all those women who are giving up child. Yeah, but you are the one who is saying surrogacy should be happening. You are the one who is actually giving up, family way to have surrogacy. Wouldn't the mental health or wouldn't the health in danger that is pattern? I never got that analysis. But we won this debate on both the grounds, whether they support surrogacy or not. How? If they support surrogacy, we have proved how commercialization is the only way of surrogacy. Commercialization would not be happening. Surrogacy will not be happening on a big scale. Will not be happening. This is comparatively agreed with by the side of government that that will not be happening on a big scale. They come up and say that if commercialization happen, it will be very big scale thing or something like that. They agree that commercialization is making this thing big, which means at all point of time, more women will have access to surrogacy in our case of paradigm. Which means if surrogacy is correct according to them, if you assume they stand that surrogacy is correct, we have proved by commercialization surrogacy has bigger and greater impacts. They talk about family members replacing that. They never prove that why will any family member have incentive to do that. They will never prove that why will any family member take all those risks that they are trying to say in this their case of paradigm of health risks and all those things. Why will any family member take all those things? They never prove me that. I don't know why family member will take that risk. And even if we talk about very generalized people, lots there are very much people who don't have that much family and who don't have those trusted family members. What will happen to those people? Are they saying that those people are not get kids? Now will get kids because commercialization, because scale is big, which they agree on. Now, if they are opposing surrogacy, we are still winning that paradigm. How? We have proved that how surrogacy is giving economic power to all these women. We in our first piece characterized that these women don't have resources. These women are very much vulnerable, very much poor. If they don't get economic incentive, they can get into prostitution and all those activities which are crimes against them. Why? Because that's the case. When government can claim that they have education, they can get other jobs. That's not the case. We're not talking about educated women. We're talking about very vulnerable women. We are talking the first piece only. Practically, those women are economically better in anarchist paradigm. Those women are secure in anarchist paradigm. Societal acceptance, societal stance, feminism, wants these women to have some autonomy or they want that women should have some choice. This should not be societally backlash. This should not be these taboos in society. We are solving all those taboos. We are solving all the societal backlash. We are solving all those things. We are giving them autonomy. We are giving them choice. How is feminism not better? Art is parent. But then we are also protecting them from talks that happen when you're not having kids. It looks like when you're not having kids. In my first speech, I explained it. If you are not having kids, society talks about you. There is backlash. But art is paradigm. You can just counter that backlash very easily. We will not talk about that. But then, what else we feel this debate was about? Black market was talking about thing. We believe that what? When there is no legal way, only way is black market. I agree with. Which they agree that black market exists. What is debate then? In which world black market is more prominent, more common. Particularly a world where legal way doesn't exist. Everyone will have to buy into black market to have it. In that way, no regulation. We clearly put that can be justice. That can have all the consequences which government was trying to prove. Which means whatever they were saying that will happen cannot happen in arts paradigm because they're having a system of checks and balances can happen in the paradigm because people don't have any option, legal options to into. They will have to opt into these black market. In our case, we're giving an alternative to go into these legal ways. Practically stopping lots of people to go into black market, practically all the exploitation scenarios. That's how we feel we win this debate.
I thank the speaker for that fine speech. To conclude the whole debate, I'd like to invite the Gov reply speaker. Here.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are. What's your name, by the way? Are you Chinmay or Yukta?
No, I'm Yukta. The PM speech was given by Chinmay, and the DPM speech was given by me, Yukta. And yeah, now it's Yukta.
Okay.
Yeah, just give me 2 seconds. Okay, I start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay, panel, whenever we are talking about something like reproduction and the commercialization of reproduction, I don't know why the op failed to understand the difference between the such things like a reproduction as in surrogacy or something like that and the commercialization of it. There is a total difference between when we say that we are against surrogacy and we are against the commercialization of surrogacy. We have said it in all of our speeches that we are against the commercialization of surrogacy as it is completely profit driven and how it can lead to misusing of the women and also physically, emotionally, and also these women might not have the proper information and the proper consent. They might lack the information that they are getting and the proper medical aspects the healthcare might not be given to these women, and they might not know the physical and the mental aspects that they might have to go through after this thing. And also they might not know that if what happens in the case of miscarriages or what happens if the even if they have a child and the emotional aspect of being a mother looks like. The opposition comes up and gives up a very lame excusation that, oh, these women can go into prostitution if they don't go into this, so we are giving them economical financial freedom. What the hell is that? Like seriously, you want to push the women into giving birth to someone else's child and bear the whole physical, mental, all the kinds of pains and the trauma, rather than pushing them and letting them go into some educational aspect where they can have a career, where they can have a life, where they can have a societal acceptance too. See, we all have stigma when it comes to having a child before the birth or having a child at different ages, and also it's not just a social or societal aspect. It's more of the personal, like physical and mental damages all that the women has to bear. And also they come up and say that it is okay, like the women are anyway dying, so who is going to take up the responsibility of that? Like the risk factor is much more when there is like you are giving birth to somebody else's baby, so it is much more worse in their particular case. Even if you take up the best case, that is of LGBTQ people, they'll get a like a chance to have kids. Right now we have provided an alternative, that is a altruistic sorry, we have talked about in the process where your family member or your friends is like okay to give birth to your child. So we are not forcing any of the family member or any friends to give birth to your child. See, they don't understand. They still come up and say that, oh, there is still risk of that, like what is physical pain and stuff like that. Yes, there is a risk of that, but still you are connected directly to that person. So anything, like if something happens to my friend or somebody in my family, I know what is going on in and out, and completely the information is there with me. So I'm still more and more responsible for it, and I'll still take care of that person more and more. Whereas when it is completely driven by when it is completely driven commercially for some profit gain, you're like, oh, I'm anyway giving money, so they're doing their part of the work, right? So you don't consider, you neglect all these mental and like all the aspects that the women is going on through, who is like being a part of this. They completely ignore all of those facts. They come up and say that how it can lead to financial freedom. I say this is a very I don't know, very like far-fetched and doesn't even make sense, because how much are they going to gain from these? Like the rates are something like 5 to 6 lakhs, even it's like less, like even lesser, that's like something like 3 lakhs. So even how many childbirths should a woman give so that she could attain financial freedom that the op is trying to do? It is very difficult. And then they come up and say that about the black market. See, we commercialize anything that is more, becomes more profit driven, more people get involved in it, more people want to get the money. So that is when there is a exploitation, misuse, and the black markets more and more emergence of all these things. It doesn't happen in our case where it is something considered as illegal. If somebody is even practicing this as a black market, that is already being explained and mentioned in POI, that police is responsible of it. It is actually considered as a crime. Wherever in that case, they're violating the human basic rights, and also commercializing it in a very wrong way, where reproduction is like a very intimate thing which they're commercializing. So their part of the thing doesn't make sense. Thank you.
I thank the speaker for the fine speech, and with this we come to the conclusion of this debate. Yeah, uh, we don't really have to get out of this room. In the meantime, Adrija, you can. Okay, thank you for muting yourself. Adrija, just state your call in the Discord private channel, Discord private chat, and then we can proceed with the oral adjudication.
Yeah, okay. Hello everyone. Am I audible? Can just someone give a thumbs
Yes, you are audible.
Audible.
up? Okay. Um, Hello.
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay. 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 Thank you. I'll just go on with my like my OA, and yeah, I'll structure it this way: first, few general comments, and then about the clashes and exactly what happened in the debate. The post which I will talk about the points that actually gave the verdict. Yeah. So the verdict from my side is that Opt takes the debate, and by significantly a large margin. There are basically few major points that have why this takes place. Number one is that the major reasons why proposition actually fails to take the debate is that they run a net negative case. What I mean to say is that when you run a net negative case, the focus is mainly on what are the harms rather than what can be done, because the statement clearly says, the motion clearly says that this house believes that they want to ban commercialization. So when you're talking about why you want to ban commercialization of reproductive policies, etc., what you have to tell me is that how commercialization will foster anything that goes on in your paradigm. But the problem that Cub has in that case is that they fail to explain it to me that what banning of commercialization will ultimately lead to. What is the solvency behind it? So there is no proper mechanization to tell me that what exactly goes on if we at all ban commercialization. What they rather tell me is that the issues that is related to the problems that is related to surrogacy, or for example, own commercialization, etc., that can happen. But if these things at all happen, the clashes come into place. Number one is exploitation. Exploitation is one of the major classes that came into place, but this is largely domestic on both sides. Why am I saying this? Because if you're not, like, commercialization doesn't take place, this is in case of government, then that market will anyway foster. At the same time, if I'm talking about exploitation, if I'm telling that commercialization is there in the paradigm of ops, so what exactly happens in that case is that profit maximization takes place. That is, if profit maximization takes place, then you naturally there is a verification of these people who directly opt into it. That is to say, like, in profit maximization, people often get into this thing without having an active idea about what exactly is this entire process. The only thing that they know is economic incentive can actually give them some amount of leverage, and without an active idea, they get into this thing. So this was given by Gov, that is that without choice they get into this problem. And this was the only class that I think government clearly took away under the ambit of exploitation. Now I come to the next two classes, that is what exactly OP proposes. OP proposes over here, that is that when you're making commercialization, as a subject, then what happens is that you're creating a safe environment for the woman to get into these kinds of systems, because commercialization will obviously lead to legality of this entire system and much more safer processes, and the state has some amount of responsibility to look into these processes. So that is to say, like, if this commercialization actually takes place, then the woman opting into this thing will have a better environment to go ahead with these kinds of issues. And to a certain extent, like, can some amount of regulation can solve these problems of this black market and etc. that exists. So to a certain extent, we find a proper mechanization that can solve these issues through these legal systems or state getting involved in commercialization. Second class. So this class was taken by Ox. Clearly, to credited this point to yours, and there could have been some leverage on coverage.
Misusing the all the effects, traumas, and everything. These are like going to increase much drastically, and these are the things that are going to happen. Those are like major concerns
Yeah,
that you mentioned.
okay.
And even when
I'll
you
just
talk about like adoption and the third point that you mentioned, I think the adoption point came in my DPM speech, and also like I have talked about this alternative surrogacy, like even in my DPM speech. So I need
yeah.
clarification.
I'll just verify. Number one is that when you are in this particular kind of debate, what you have to do is like you have to explicitly state as to why you are mentioning
Smita,
the harm.
I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but we have the draws releasing for round 3 at 11. And as much as I understand how feedback is necessary for the speakers, can we please have the chair come in, give his verdict, and this be sorted out over a personal feedback session later on?
Give me 30 seconds. I'll just answer one
Sure
question.
thing.
Major question. So the problem that with like you, I think you said your name. Yeah, you said that there's this thing that you mentioned about the harms that it says. The problem with this thing is that when you're running a net negative piece, you have to explicitly state as to why you're talking about these harms. When you're talking the harms, it's like completely centered around the surrogacy problems and excessive amount of mental health pressures. I understand that these things exist, but the problem is that you have not explained it to me as to why you're telling these harms, as to how is it linked, to the commercialization aspect of it. So you have to explicitly state that okay, these are the harms that exist, and this is why commercialization shouldn't take place, or why one shouldn't opt into all these things. So when it is not explicitly stated, it becomes very difficult for me to credit you. Secondly, the thing that you talk about this entire adoption thing and everything, this comes in a place where the connection is missing, and so you have to tell me that why these altruistic family members will be going into this thing. This also is not very clearly meant to me. Like, what is the incentive behind it? So it is state that this exists, that they want to go ahead with it, but why do they want to go ahead with it? This is not clearly mentioned. Last point is that yes, you all do agree that yes, you all are against the commercialization and not against the concept of surrogacy. That's very clearly mentioned, and I have no confusion with those things. But the issue is that you all fail to mechanize it out as to why you all are talking about the harms and what it directly leads to. And that is it, I think. Yeah. I call the chair right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Um, okay, so just a quick roll call. Is the government team here?
Yeah.
Okay, opposition.
Yeah, we're here.
Perfect. I'll just get started because we're in a time crunch now. I'll start my OA in 3, 2, and 1. So in terms of like a call, I think you all know that the call it has unanimously gone to opposition. So I'm not gonna waste too much time on it. So giving the reason for my decision as to why exactly I saw what exactly I saw the debate to, and why exactly the call goes as such. This is in terms of RFD. Was a value judgment motion where you actually have to prove which side is better and why exactly there are structural reasons as to why it is better or worse on your side of the house. So in terms of the debate, I think the government side. So what I actually got from the government side was the fact that the idea of feminism, what exactly are the goals, is to achieve equality, and women are not treated as human beings but rather a baby making machine. So that's the reason why they should prevent it from happening. So what are the harms that is the reason why commercialization should they should not support it or something like that? According to the motion, is the fact that they should oppose it, right? So in terms of that idea, they say that there are quite a lot of problems associated with it. So first of all, illegal business because their people don't really have education, so they can easily get exploited. Secondly, they're saying that there are different complications, physical and mental health complications that is happening. Third of all, they're saying that objectification of women are actually rampant. So that's the thing they want to prevent, right? Secondly, their idea that they expanded on exploitation that poor countries or countries who are not developed will obviously get exploited, and there is the idea of taking too much that you can taking too much rather than what you can handle. And finally, they're saying that there is the alternative of adoption that can be that is available. To what extent do you have the fear to suggest some kind of alternative that is questionable in a dissolved belief that motion? Secondarily, why exactly that idea that alternative is much more effective than commercialization? Third of all, to what extent there is the fact that then you agree that to what extent people would actually get educated in the absence of this kind of commercialization? There was no structural reason or mechanization as to how exactly people would get educated or less exploited, given that the government side literally has conceded the fact that there exists a black market in the first place. So on that note, what do I get from opposition in terms of responses, but also in terms of materials that I do really credit it over government to give them the victory. One, opposition says that exploitation is people having competition is symmetric because it does not really happen due to commercialization, but rather IVF and OV, like a different kind of uh, this kind of reproduction method like surrogacy OVA because they are actually they don't really get worse because of commercialization because those are bodily and mental health issues that is associated with the reproduction system itself, but not rather the commercialization. That was a no-brainer, no-brainer on that note. Secondarily, on the fact that they are actually saying that there would obviously be quite a lot of awareness because of the fact that people are actually getting to know what actually these kind of things mean. Third of all, why exactly this is not illegal because this kind of commercialization comes with a legal binding because they're actually portraying to the people what actually the procedure are and how exactly it would pan out in the long term. So on that note, extremely sorry. So on that note, I think the legal binding is the fact that comes out in the form of accountability or responsibility that falls on these companies or the advertisement companies and there is a commercial surrogacy and the commercialization process in the first place. So on that note, the accountability and responsibility idea from government side that they claim that will actually take the responsibility in terms of complications. This kind of legal binding and legal procedure is the thing that actually binds them. Secondarily, in terms of like why exactly government side literally did not really provide any sort of better mechanization. What I get from opposition is the fact that there is quite a lot of financial freedom, development, dependency, and also breaking down the stereotypes. I think that was already conceded by both sides that it might have lead to it will lead to a kind of a gender stereotypical thing to break down. But where exactly it is more likely to happen, I think that part was taken by the opposition side when they say that look, if black market exists, people would obviously not get educated as much because in black market they don't really have accountability, and it is actually the illegal side where desperate people. Their main thing was the people who are infertile and also desperately want their children is the fact that why these people would actually pop into this kind of method, surrogacy or OVA or all the other methods that are being actually commercialized. Right? So on that note, if there is no such kind of legal binding, people getting exploited in the black market, there's much more rampant. But also on the fact that the healthy kind of transaction gets diminished due to the fact that people don't really have choice. So on that note, I think the government side also did not really provide that to what extent people don't really have the choice to make whenever they are these kind of procedures are commercialized or not commercialized. On that note, the opposition side takes down that point by saying that there is a somewhat healthy transaction comparatively where people can actually have some sort of knowledge rather than having black market knowledge where these people are not responsible as opposed to the commercial people who have legal binding to give them proper information. I think it comparatively evens out the ground in order to access to this kind of a method in the first place. On that note, I think the greater burden that both of the sides had to prove that where exactly people have the proper choice to make according to their bodily autonomy, which means that the preservation of bodily autonomy and choice is comparatively better preserved in the opposition side because of the fact that they have legal binding and a legal accostation and accustomed like a protection and safety net that is associated with the commercialization versus the black market, which is the alternative, but also the alternative that is existing, which both sides agree. So on that note, I think the comparative there does really exist, and why exactly I did, and that's why I did exactly give this debate to opposition. But also in terms of like on combating stereotypicality and like having more awareness, but also the financial freedom. I think it is much more likely when these women can break free from the shackle that the government side is trying to portray that there is people less educated, so these women are tend to be made into baby making machines. I think with proper information, people can actually have choice and their own voice to be heard because of the fact that now they know what their worth is, what are the risks associated with it, and what kind of complications that are associated with it. So which means that there is more informed choice rather than misinformed choice and stereotypical choice that exists on the that exists and does not really get resolved on the government side, which means that the government side had the burden to resolve that why exactly do you have this sort of a stereotypicality and all the other sort of benefit that you claim that would accrue or the harms that you explain would actually get diminished. So these are all of the reasons or the essence of the reason as to why government side does not take the win over opposition or why exactly the motion falls and opposition take the victory. I think the draw will be out in a few seconds. So yeah, if you have anything you want to ask me regarding personal feedback or personal comments, you can message me on Discord or private chat or DM me on Discord. I will try to give your feedback as soon as possible. Yep, and please do fill in the judge feedback using your private URL so that the tournament does not get delayed and OC does not have to hound you out for missing feedback. So yeah, that being said, best of luck for the next 3 rounds.
Thank you so much, Chet. Like he mentioned, kindly teams, please fill your feedback because the draws can't be released until then. And all the best for the further rounds. Thank you so much. Priyanshu and Soumya, you can leave the meet.
Yeah, yeah, sorry.
It's okay. Sort of, you can also leave the meet. I think the recording was already done, right? Hello.